Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, founders, staff, and students. Welcome to the first inaugural feedback ceremony. The first inaugural graduation ceremony of UWC Dilijan.
Welcome to the class of 2016.
But first, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome to the stage the man who has made the first 2 years possible. I would like you to give a warm round of applause for Headmaster John Puddifoot.
Well, here we are. Two years ago, when we had student induction welcoming the class of 2016, I said to them, it'll go in a flash, and we'll be sitting here ready to leave. And I think the truth is that it has. It has been an amazing 2 years. This generation has lived with all sorts of inconvenience, minor delays of 4 to 6 weeks, occasional shortages, including eating food out of polystyrene packets for the first few weeks, and sharing rooms 6 at a time. But this was all, of course, part of the plan to create community. It's really hard to know what to say. But I'm going to try to say something that might at least be useful. Because I think that we live in the very strangest of times. There was a time when to increase the world's resources sufficiently to support another 1 million people took 1 million years. Now it takes 90 minutes. That change of pace defines the world where we, or you, will spend most of your lives. It is a period of unimaginable change, of unimaginable challenge, and of unimaginable opportunity. When I face a problem, I consult my friends. I'm fortunate to have a great many friends. Most of them are dead. And what I mean by that is that we as a species have something that no other species has. We can learn from those who went before us. And that, of course, presents us with an opportunity and a challenge. And that challenge is met with something called education. But the problem, of course, is that there is just so much of the past. So we always have to make choices. And the choices that we make define what we call our curriculum. Now, one of my favorite dead friends is a Danish gentleman who, if I pronounce it right, rejoices in the name of Søren Kierkegaard. How am I doing? All right? Excellent. You can't get away with anything when you have 63 nations present. Søren Kierkegaard once famously wrote, "The trouble with life is that it has to be lived forwards, but can only be understood backwards." So as we sit here looking back over 2 years, we can understand it extraordinarily well. We can perhaps see all sorts of things that, if we knew what we know now, we would have done differently. But you cannot have the benefits of 2020 hindsight in advance. The challenge is always to live life forwards. And on this day, we are at a kind of tipping point for the 94 students who will move from this institution to countless others around the world. How do we learn from the past and apply that knowledge to the future? Or to put it differently, is it even the case that the skills we need to understand the past are the same skills that we need to understand the future, and even more, to create it? Now, of course, talking about doesn't use language carefully. It uses it in a way that is actually quite sloppy. Let me give you an example. No, let me give you 3. People will sometimes say, "I believe in tolerance. Tolerance is a virtue." No, we don't. We believe in tolerance of some things. We do not tolerate cruelty, injustice, discrimination, persecution, abuse. We are not tolerant of those things. But we are still happy to say that we are believers in tolerance. Even the United World College mission statement says that it wants to make education a force for peace. And everybody believes in peace, don't they? Do they? At any price? What about a peace that is sterile, uncreative, dead? What Tacitus once called the wilderness that we make and call it peace. That's not the kind of peace we believe in. Or what about sustainability? Surely sustainability escapes the criticism. But there have been great empires in this world that have lasted for centuries and are therefore sustainable, but are based upon cruelty, slavery, war, and oppression. So tolerance, peace, and sustainability aren't actually the things we believe in. We believe in the right kind of tolerance, the right kind of peace, and the right kind of sustainability. Language needs to be used carefully. One more last example. In an old-fashioned school, one of the things that a school would be expected to do would be to train students, children, pupils, to obey the rules and do as they are told. But doing as you are told is not a virtue. We have, during the course of our 2 years together, learned about, responded to, and taken very seriously the centenary of the Armenian genocide and the creation of the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity. And one of the questions that you remember George Clooney addressed when he was here was the question, how do we make sure this never happens again? Well, let's remind ourselves. Genocide happens because people do as they are told. Because soldiers, when told to drive people in the desert to die, do it. Because when they are told to put Jews into concentration camps, they do it. When they are told to murder a tribe of historical animosity, they do it. Doing as you are told is not virtuous. What matters is to know when you decide to do as you are told, when to obey the rules and when to break them, when to stand alone against the crowd and when to be part of it. Life is lived forwards, but only understood backwards. Two of the great heroes of the 20th century, icons for the struggle for freedom, are Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela. Because we evaluate them from the perspective of understanding backwards, we very easily forget that they lived their lives forwards. Martin Luther King died not knowing that there would within a generation or so be a black president of the United States. Nelson Mandela did not know that one day he would be released from Robben Island and become president of the Free Republic of South Africa. They lived their lives forwards not knowing how the future would approve or disapprove or raise them to the status of heroes. And the challenge for us is to live our lives forwards, to make decisions based upon what we know from the past. The great German romantic poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote in one of the Duino elegies that were inspired by a pathway very near our cousin UWC Adriatic. When we dissolve in infinite spaces, will they taste of us? What on earth does that mean? When we dissolve in infinite spaces, will they taste of us? What will we leave behind? We, in a sense, are about to dissolve. We are about certainly to disperse. We are about to go to many, many different places on this earth. Of course, we will not lose touch with one another, or at least I hope not. But what will we leave behind? What will be our trace as we go into those infinite spaces? One of the great things about education, the best of education, is that it does not attempt to tell you what to do with what you know. It presents you, as you might call it, with a box of Lego bricks and invites you to make something of them. It does not, like some of the modern Lego kits, only fit together one way to make an intergalactic space cruiser, which is great fun to make, but absolutely useless if you ever want to make anything else. Have you had this experience? But if you have a box of bricks that are just bricks, you can make anything. We are about to disperse. Some will come back. Some will not. But in another of his poems, Rilke also gives us a wonderful clue to how to deal with that. At the end of a long and wonderful poem he wrote in grief at the death of a woman he loved, he says, let me see if I can do this in German. Wir haben, wo wir lieben, ja nur dies, einander lassen. We need, in love, to practice only this, letting each other go. Good luck and goodbye.
Thank you very much, Headmaster. A message for us all, I think.
Our first performance will be an Armenian dance with a modern twist. It will be performed by the Armenian second-year girls. A warm round of applause as we welcome them to the stage.
I can't believe they took the rolling pin.
Put your hands together for Sana, Adita, Annie, Alina, Manana, and Vika.
Our next speech comes from the person who has made all this possible. From idea to ideology, from concept to creation, from staff concerns to student safety, one person has worked tirelessly over the last few years to make this the home that it has become to hundreds of students from across the globe. I would like you to give a warm round of applause as I welcome to the stage for our next speech, Veronica Zonneman.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very emotional moment today. And I'm sorry, I will use my notes. So it's because sometimes when you're full of emotions, you forget what you wanted to say. And the girls, their dance was amazing. Thank you. Professional, absolutely. Dear representatives and future ambassadors of the UWC community. First of all, let me welcome all parents, many of whom came here for the first time, friends of the school, and many of whom traveled from all over the world to come here and be at that day today. And all of you, all of us, we became pioneers of this place. And we start the long line of the ambassadors and of their successful citizens of the world educated in Dilijan. And I must admit that despite the joyful occasion, a part of me is still sad, because part of the family goes away. And this is difficult, as John told, to let it go, but emotionally it is difficult to admit, to accept. I'm sure that most of you have these feelings as well. And being glad to be finished with the school reports, exams, bedtime, assemblies, but at the same time realizing how lucky you all were to be able to make friends for life and grow together. This is a testament for all of you for creating an atmosphere amongst yourselves true to the ethos of a UWC college. Hopefully, you will also be able to appreciate how much has been done for you by the school's administration, staff, and the founding head of the college, but also by the people whom you may have never even seen or thought to have existed, such as the donors, the governors of the school, and the other supporters. Without their determination, hard work, and commitment to make UWC a reality, we would never be standing here today. I also wanted to commend you personally for your trust and courage to come to an unfinished campus, a school with no prior reputation, located in the country many of you have never heard before. At least you now know that the whole world originated from Armenia, and that every significant person in history has at least one Armenian relative or neighbor. You, along with the people involved in creating UWC Dilijan, are the school's founders. And I hope that as you undertake a new chapter in your life, you will look back at your 2 years with pride in what you've helped build for your successors. There will never be again a first graduating class of the school. And this is a privilege you will always be able to cherish. With this privilege, however, comes also the responsibility of creating traditions at the school and being its first ambassadors for not only the school, but also for this country. I'm sure that you will all make the school extremely proud and show to the world what a truly remarkable place Dilijan is. I sincerely hope that although you will not be living here, you will see Dilijan and Armenia as your second home and continue to regard the community we have created as a family. I cannot believe that 2 years have passed since you first arrived here, but at the same time we have been able to achieve so much that it seems like you've been at the school for a lifetime. I have no doubt that these 2 years have been extremely formative for you, both academically and individually. Moreover, you have also taught us a lot, and the local community has started to transform thanks to our mutual efforts. I hope that during these 2 years, you have learned that education is a commitment for life. And I'm convinced that one of the most effective ways to learn is to take risk, not to be afraid of making mistakes, staying curious, and finding something that you are passionate about. This brings me on to my next piece of small advice for you. I have noticed throughout my life that the happiest people have been those who think not only of their own needs, but rather think of their fellow person. From personal experience, I can tell you that being able to give back to others more in need is great joy you can receive in life, exceeded only by having family, children, with the person you love. I want to leave you with one final point, which is that caring for your neighbor does not have to be a grand step, such as building a hospital or a school. It can be something seemingly insignificant, such as offering your bed to a person in need of one, or giving something that you have created with your own talents without demanding anything in return. I'm convinced that small steps can change the world, and it begins with the changing of yourself. Rabbi Hillel was once asked if he could recite all the wisdom of the Torah. To this, Rabbi replied, "That which is despicable to you, do not do to your fellow. This is the whole Torah, and the rest is commentary." I want to once again congratulate you all on being the first graduates of UWC Dilijan, and to wish you success in creating a brighter future for the people around you and the next generation. As one of our friends, famous professor of leadership, Manfred Katz de Vries, told, that 3 things is needed in your life to be happy: something to do, someone to love, and something to hope for. And that is exactly what I wish you. And in the years are in front of you. Congratulations, class 2016.
Thank you, Veronica, and thank you for providing a Welshman and a Zimbabwean with Armenian neighbors and friends.
The beautiful thing about UWC Dilijan is you never run out of talent. We have talent everywhere. Our next performance shows the diversity of this talent. Welcome to the stage, Javier and Lean. Huge thank you to Javier and Lena. That performance goes to show how supportive we are here at UWC Dilijan. Another big round of applause, please.
The feedback continues. Our next speech is a unique opportunity for students from the first year to give their thoughts to the departing students who are in our founding year. The students who showed them how to unite as a college, the students who showed them how to unite as a community, and the students who showed them where the washing machines were. We would like to welcome to the stage for this speech, Georgiana Hills.
Sorry. Life is like a sequence of doors. You open one, and another one closes. But then again, this door will lead you to another door that it's completely different from whatever the other ones might have been. That is our experience in UWC. It's a door to a new world, where we build a new family and more friendships, where we got to know ourselves better and the world in a different way. And yes, we do have to say goodbye to some routines or some people in order to be here. But we didn't let them behind. We just chose a different door. And it is hard, and we all know it. We face things that a lot of our friends back home till they go to college, or maybe they won't experience them at all. They give us this thing called freedom that comes with a huge responsibility, and it's so new and weird that we get really confused with it. But in the process of exploring it and learning how to handle it, we gain so much more. It is an experience that makes you grow up, that makes you think, and again, it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't chosen this door. And as all great things, it comes to an end. We cannot live in UWC forever. Even if we wanted to, it is just a transition. We all came here to grow and learn, and now it's time to use all this knowledge in the outside world. Maybe someone will change the world through the fashion industry, or someone is going to be a great politician, or a doctor saving thousands of lives, or a famous artist in different countries. We don't know what each of us will become, but we can be sure that this is not the end. Now, we know that there's people around the world with our same ideals. We know different points of view, and we also know how to defend ourselves. It's time for some of us to leave, the first generation of UWC Dilijan. They're going to face the world. It's their new beginning. They're going to go out there to learn some more, to experience more, and from the distance, give us an example. Some days ago, we planted trees as a symbol of our roots in Armenia, our second home. And now, it is time for them to grow. It's time to open new doors, to explore new things. But it doesn't matter how tall the tree grows or how far we go. We will always have something in common, and that's what we shared, what got us all here and kept us opening doors. So don't be afraid of opening one door or closing another one. It doesn't mean that you're out of it forever. You still can come and visit. Closing a door indicates that it's your time to explore some more. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgiana.
Just 9 months after we arrived, we're saying goodbye to the people who made this place feel like home. To mark this, I invite all the UWC students from both years, as the first years would like to present gifts and flags to the outgoing second years.
Nhythi from Vietnam.
Sona from Hayastan.
Yekaterina from Russia.
Princess from South Africa.
Tatiana from Austria.
Samantha from New Zealand.
Elena from Spain.
And we are the Secret Seven!
A Caucasian,
a Jew, a Norman,
a Latino, an Arab, and a Slavic walk into a room.
The rest is history.
Who let the bells out? Nicola from Serbia. Raj from Armenia. Juanfra from Argentina.
Oz from Israel.
Romain from France. And Muhammad from Egypt.
I am Veronica from Germany.
I'm Mary from India.
I'm Manana from Armenia.
I'm Rebecca from Croatia.
I am Joanna from Lebanon.
I am Anushka from Russia.
Oh gosh, Messi to the power of 5.
Except the Armenian.
Vanderway Tumamba from Swaziland.
Emilio Juarez Ortiz from Mexico.
Vladislav Alfiorov from Ukraine.
Saad Aldin Kacharevich from Czech Republic.
João Freitas from Portugal.
Zahir Al-Musli from Syria. And we are the Cartel of Ukrainian and Terrorist Thieves. Woo!
Michael from Germany.
Serafina from China.
Annie from Armenia.
Iram from Turkey.
Maria from Estonia.
JD from Brazil. The inventors of Wings of Tatev laundry rack and watermelon lovers.
I'm Mikhail from Armenia.
I am Nikita from Belarus.
My name is Carl. I'm from Denmark.
I'm Bashar from Lebanon.
Drew Byerly from the United States of America.
My name is Javier. I am from El Salvador.
Our room sings like Bashar.
I am Ajar from Kazakhstan.
I'm Ksenia from Russia.
I'm Nelina from Portugal.
I'm Vika from Armenia.
I'm Aini from the Maldives.
I'm Rishali from India.
And we are the Flight Killers!
I'm Ali from Turkey.
I'm Bakani from Zimbabwe.
I'm Chris from Hungary.
I am Ansel from Spain.
I'm Obaida from Syria.
We are the Super Ninja Pirates!
Tefe from Iran.
Michaela from the Czech Republic.
Jazz from UK.
Makri from Venezuela.
Rayan from Sudan.
Ansel from Spain.
Ansel, what are you doing here again?
Ansel!
Come on!
We are the best guest house ever!
I am Victor from Hungary.
I am Elvin from Panama.
I am Philip from Italy.
I'm Mikhail from Armenia.
I'm Ahmed from Egypt.
I'm Alex from Ukraine.
And what would we be without gossips
and Pringles?
I'm Lena from Malaysia.
I'm Lucia from Spain.
I'm Ivy from the United States.
I'm Mariam from Georgia.
I'm Adita from Armenia.
I'm Victoria from Denmark.
And we are from Peanut Room.
peace and neutrality.
Здравствуйте, I'm Ramil from Russia.
Sanbonan, I'm Bongi from South Africa.
Hola, I'm Ronald from Costa Rica.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Mujahid from Palestine.
Sveiki, I'm Jonas from Lithuania.
Namaste, I'm Kabir from India.
And we are the Sexy Six.
I'm Becca from Malaysia.
I'm Tia from Canada.
I'm Lucina from Armenia.
I'm Eva from Italy. I'm Yana from Ukraine.
I'm Elena from Russia. And
We are the Funky
chicken!
I say ow,
ow, ow, ow, ow.
I'm Semi from Turkey. I'm Sebastian from Ghana.
I'm Javier from Spain.
And I'm Ludwig from Germany.
I'm Aleko from Georgia.
I'm Benjamin from Iran.
And we are Long Island Ices.
From Mexico.
I'm Hannah from Belarus.
I'm Alena from Armenia.
I'm Lilu from the British Virgin Islands. I'm Sla from Turkey.
And I'm Haneen from Lebanon.
Y nosotras somos las Habibis.
I am Bartek from Poland.
I am Adam from Slovakia.
I am Marcos from Brazil.
Hey, I am Jorge from El Salvador.
And we are the Storytellers.
It's difficult to tell when that ends.
Those were the voices of our founding year, those were the voices of our family, and those were the voices of the future.
There is only one group who can tell us what it really felt like to arrive in a brand new school. So we'd like to invite the first speaker from the departing second years to come up to the stage and give a speech. Please put your hands together for Micah.
Today, the second years in this room are put in a slightly awkward position. We are put in a similar position that all the parents in this room found themselves in 2 years ago. Because tonight and tomorrow, we'll have to let go of something that is, believe it or not, a little bit like our own child. You might not believe me, but looking at it, there are striking parallels. We've known our child from the very beginning. We want our child to do well in school, but still have fun, and we wanted to have friends. The friends should be nice, polite, they can be smart, they shouldn't be too nerdy. We like to believe that whenever our child gets into trouble, it was surely never due to our parental skills, but it has to be the fault of something else. Now, eventually, we'll have to let go. And just like our parents 2 years ago, we are not quite sure where that place is that our child travels to. But fortunately, we have plenty of support, because as a United World College, we are not just a school, but part of a movement. We came here because we want to try and make a difference through the way we interact with others, through art, through science, through politics, or simply through the way we think about the world. It is the UWC movement that brought together what is ultimately a group of teenagers from all over the world who wouldn't have met otherwise. Just like many UWCers, we face one question. When we leave, what is really going to stay with each of us? And let's be upfront here, it will be much more than just IB related. Instead, let's look at the big and small things that we have learned over 2 years and see what we will actually remember. To begin with, we arrived on what can legitimately call itself a full-scale construction site. But by the time we arrived, in midsummer 2014, construction work was anticipated to finish in only 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks is not a long time. And living in rooms of 6 was entertaining and exciting. This is how we learned that clocks work differently in different parts of the world. We learned not to ever trust anyone who ensures us that something is anticipated to happen in 4 to 6 weeks. Although admittedly, yes, we might have stretched one or the other deadline to a similar extent. But it also taught us that things will usually fall into place and that we need to have trust in the fact that they will. As the construction site slowly decided to retreat, we got to know our campus better and better. And with construction work moving out, something else moved in. Whenever we talk about rebellious students, we must never forget that it was the 2 library printers who are until the present day uncontested champions of practice disobedience. That's how we learned that we should only acquire or touch electronic devices when we know how to use them. The printers were not the only thing that moved in. Shortly after, the snow joined. With a meter of snow in front of us, we learned how to dress in a way that snow wouldn't get into our clothes. And at the same time, we learned that traditions at the UWC can also be easy to establish. Dear first years, this goes to you. Please pass on the polar bear run to the next generation. And to everybody who happens to be in Dilijan in the first night of snow of the year, don't be surprised about a group of people racing around campus in the middle of the night. It's supposed to be that way. Now, we haven't managed making running around campus a CAS, but running around with a frisbee certainly is. And it doesn't stop at frisbee. In summer 2014, sign-up sheets for student-led activities covered one entire window wall of the residence. Many of those activities are still alive and in good shape. This is how we learned to ski, to dance, to play football, to debate, to cook, to speak Russian, and to understand what life in Armenia looks like. The Model United Nations Conference in Turkey last year is one of the best memories I have. If someone would have told me 2 years ago that I would spend a week of international politics together with a group of amazing and inspiring people from all corners of the world, I wouldn't have believed them. We also learn to take initiative. You will notice that CAS activities in the school are student-led. And we are still learning, so none of this is perfect, but it's a legacy for our first years to take on. In relation to CAS, we were also told that unless we are 5 minutes early, we are late. We learned that although we are 5 minutes late, we are usually still early. In more recent days, the IB program increasingly asked for our attention. The IB is a program that opens doors to universities and to new areas of studies to its learners. But being the UWC students that we are aware that the IB is about much more than just academics. I think it offered us one of the most important lessons over those 2 years. Namely, that sometimes we can't make it on our own. That it is okay to ask for help and to accept help without feeling guilty. We learn to trust and to be trusted. Today, we know how to write a 1,600-word essay in a subject whose purpose I could still not explain to you. And it also ties young people from around the world together. I love the times I meet people who attach a meaning to the letters IA, EE, TOK, IOC, FOA, IOP, IB, or UWC. But things got more intense. 24 hours in a day were not enough anymore. In fact, some of us stopped counting hours and started counting tomatoes instead. And once again, we learned that printing is better done well in advance. At this point, we learned how strong the friendships are that we build up over time, and that they are independent from nationality, from skin color, or from religion. You see, in a UWC, teachers become friends, flags become faces, and we get an idea that intercultural understanding can be more than just a distant concept. It's not easy to keep that idea up in the future, but it's a challenge that each of us can choose to accept when we move on. What will stay with us is friendships from all over the world. And whenever we meet someone from outside our home country, the inclination to comment, "Hey, my friend lives there." After 2 years, I think there's one piece of knowledge that everyone will take home with them. Namely, that things will always somehow come together. Sometimes it might look as if nothing moves at first, but eventually it will work out just fine and in time. Let's make this something to remember wherever we go next. When we first came, we were told, and we have been told many times since, that starting a new school is like being given a blank sheet of paper. Once you get it, you don't scribble on it. We scribbled on ours. Many times, in many ways. And I think that's a good thing. In fact, that might be one of the things that we can be most proud of. Because that's what a school is there for, making mistakes. If we didn't make mistakes, why would we still go to school? Building a UWC takes time, effort, and dedication. And some scribbling. Maybe a lot of scribbling. And that's how it should be. I would not want to trade my time at UWC for anything in the world. We'll see each other again in only 4 to 6 weeks. And we can move on with one thing in mind. Good job, guys. We made it.
Thank you, Micah.
Someone famous once said, "I have never succeeded without making a mistake first." I think Micah left us with a very important lesson. Keep making mistakes, they do turn into success. Now for our next speaker, we're going to have Victoria, whose speech is more about appreciation. Thank you, Victoria.
Hello. Today, I'd like to express gratitude towards our founders, donors, headmaster, and members of staff. I'll try to tell you a little bit about what a founding UWC Dilijan student takes away from this experience. And in doing so, I hope to leave you with an impression of just how grateful we are, while also leaving you with a lingering promise, which I shall come back to. First of all, thank you for placing our school in Armenia. Armenia has had so much to teach us about hospitality, loyalty, family values, and what it means to be strong. I think very much encapsulated by the 100 Lives initiative we witnessed this April. We've learned the lesson that to be strong, you need to look forward. Furthermore, thank you for placing our school in Dilijan. Now, Dilijan is famous for its nature, but I'd like to add that Dilijan is also something very special for its weather. I know that talking about the weather is seen as a superficial topic, but the weather in Dilijan really is something special. In fact, it very much mimics the UWC experience in how it can be very powerful and unpredictable. Springtime is sprinkled with snowflakes, and winter is glittering from sunshine. The last week of our examinations, every single night the clouds would compact and it would thunder and rain, even though the air was tropical, rendering the atmosphere completely magical. And speaking of magic, I'd like to touch on the education that we received here. Now, many of us came to UWC because we believe that education can go beyond textbooks. However, what we did not expect is that a major aspect of our education would come from the people that we live with. I've never in my life felt the urge to say thank you for this conversation. But at UWC Dilijan, the conversations are often so stimulating and enriching that it truly feels as if you have been given a present. I'm taking pauses. And I think this is correlated with how we come from, how we hold a wide range of different perspectives on the world. And therefore, I want to say thank you for, when investing in education, investing in one which is international and which strives to have a diversity of backgrounds. And now, on behalf of all of us, I'd like to say something that's very close to my heart, which is to say thank you to our teachers. On a daily basis, we see our teachers go out of their way to support us, whether it be inviting us into their apartment the night before an examination to answer last-minute questions, or giving us words of encouragement, which only have the great effect that they do because our teachers take the time to know us as individuals and not just as the face of another student. Furthermore, our teachers often spend their free time taking part in activities going on campus. And this really means a lot to us because it really entrenches a sense of community. I think at UWC Dilijan, every single intellectual growth, passion, and most importantly, personal growth, behind all this is often a teacher or a counselor. And we want to say thank you for that. And speaking of our community, I'd like to say that we've had a crucial addition this year. And I'm not even referring to the cats that we had move in front of our cafeteria, but our first years. Dear enthusiastic comrades, thank you, first of all, for taking so many initiatives this year. And more importantly, thank you for infusing us with energy and spirit, especially when things got tough. Because being the founding year of a school, it has been difficult. And I think the most important lesson we have learned is that creating something unique it's not going to be easy, but it will be continuously rewarding. And I think this is a lesson that we will apply throughout our lives. I think we truly learned the message that things take time, which is one of my favorite quotes that I come away with from UWC. And then I'd like to extend a huge thank you to a person who is also leaving us, which is our headmaster, John. John, I know that being the headmaster of a school is difficult, and I am sure that being the headmaster of a UWC school is 100 times more difficult. But we very much appreciate your effort, and personally, I really like how your talks are often philosophical. Yeah. So now I'd like to come back to the promise that I was referring to at the beginning of my speech, which is that we have benefited so deeply over these last 2 years from education. And I think there's no way we can grow up and feel fulfilled with ourselves without giving back. I know for myself that I never thought of entering the field of education, but now I think it's perhaps one of the most meaningful things I could do, because we have benefited so deeply from it, and we have experienced firsthand just how much it can transform you as a person, and how enriching a tool it can be, a powerful tool in the world as well. So, thank you to founders, to our donors, to our headmaster, and to our teachers for creating this framework of knowledge. And most importantly, thank you for bringing us together in Dilijan of Armenia. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. UWC is founded on the principle that a world-class education should not be based on economic backgrounds, class, or creed, and that education is a force that can change the world, unifying and uniting us as a people, whatever our background.
In order to do this, UWC Dilijan relies on a large amount of donations from people all around the world.
They make this school possible. They make this day possible, and they make sure that education is available to hundreds of students from throughout the globe every year.
Every student here is a recipient of some financial aid from someone they have never met before. Today, that's about to change. The outgoing second years would like to present the generous donors with gifts to thank them for their support for the past years and for the coming years. Second years.
The second years have chosen a tree to present to the founders as a symbol of new roots in Armenia and the growth of education. Can we please give a round of applause for our donors and our students? Now we have a special presentation by Gagik Adaminian, who is here to present a couple of special prizes, I believe. And as we were saying, every donor here has given money to allow a student to come to this school. Gagik is from a town in Armenia, which I will not even bother trying to pronounce because I'll get it wrong. But one of the students that he funded is here tonight. Alina, where are we, Alina? Perfect. And Alina is going to sing for Hasapa and come up and translate live on stage. Coming up. Can we get a round of applause, please, for Alina?
Я хочу поблагодарить сегодня всех здесь присутствующих за то, что мы находимся здесь, в этом зале.
I want to thank everyone here for being here with us.
Я человек, который имеет отношение ко всем тем неудобствам, которые я доставил вам и которые я сейчас услышал. Я как бы прохожу с вами вместе, получаю тоже аттестат зрелости, и вы меня принимаете или нет. Спасибо за это.
Sorry, I didn't really get everything, but sorry, what did you say? Что вы сказали? Я просто не могла.
Да. Я...
Acoustics here is really bad, sorry.
Да. У меня такое ощущение, что я вместе с вами заканчиваю Дилижанскую школу UWS.
I have the feeling that I'm graduating with you all, the UWC College.
Я вместе с вами получаю аттестат, путевку в жизнь.
And I have a feeling that I'm getting the diploma.
Не все оценки у меня хорошие. Я слышал критика, там выступающая девушка. Да, но я это учту. Спасибо.
I will take into consideration the talks.
Но хорошо, что эта критика прозвучала сегодня, а не позавчера. А то мы могли бы лишиться награды, которую получили. Я хочу вам...
So, I'm glad that we got the critics from the students today and not tomorrow, because we wouldn't... Oh, okay. Because we wouldn't get the prize.
Да. Мы получили награду, вот это, видите, это называется Best Public Service Development Armenia.
We got the prize for Best Public Services of Development in Armenia.
И нас признали лучшим девелопментом, архитектурой, зеленым зданием, энергосберегающим во всем мире и в Европе.
And we got the prize for the best green roofs and for the best infrastructure in the whole Europe.
И этот приз нами был получен позавчера.
And this prize we got a few days ago.
Но я немножко преувеличиваю. На самом деле в мире мы получили вторую премию. Первую получили в Европе, а в мире получили вторую, серебряную медаль.
We got two prizes actually. The first we got in Europe, and the second one we got in few days ago in the world.
Это, видимо, учли все вашу критику, поэтому получили второе место. Мы будем стараться и будем улучшать.
We got the silver prize, which is the second prize because of the critics, but we will work harder to make it better.
Что я хочу сказать? Сегодня у нас очень знаменательный день не только для сидящих здесь в этом зале, но и для учредителей, для страны, для Армении, для всех.
It is a very important day today for everyone sitting here, for all the people, all the teachers, students, and for the all Armenians.
Для Армении это имеет большое значение, потому что мы сегодня начали экспортировать знания в мир.
It is important for Armenia because today we started to export knowledge.
Это самый ценный и самый значимый экспорт.
It is the most important and the most significant thing.
Для учредителей это очень важно, потому что мы смогли реализовать мечту Рубена Варданяна и Вероники.
It is very important because we were able to make the dream of Veronica and Ruben to come true.
Я благодарен судьбе, что я принимал в этом участие, в этом безобразии.
I want to thank the fate for letting me take part into this.
Вы 100 учащиеся, которые сегодня закончили Дилижанскую школу. We,
the students who are graduating today, the UWC Dilijan.
Я хочу вам по армянской традиции сказать тост.
I want to give a toast to you according to Armenian traditions.
В начале вечера прозвучали слова, что Мартин Лютер Кинг не увидел черного президента Америки.
In the beginning of the day, it was said that Martin Luther King didn't see the black president of America.
Я хочу, чтобы многие, если не все, сидящие в этом зале,
I want that most of the people, if not all of them sitting here,
увидели среди первого выпуска Дилижанской школы лауреатов Нобелевской премии.
I want to see these people getting Nobel Prizes.
А теперь я хочу пригласить сюда на сцену учредителей Дилижанской школы и архитектора, который это безобразие вместе со мной сделал, Тима Флина.
This is totally unprepared, so apologies in advance. But this was an award that we won in Panama for just a couple of days ago for the development of this school. It was a silver medal that we won. So you should be very proud of this facility, and also I think you should be very appreciative of Ruben and Veronica, who have invested not only a considerable amount of finance, but a lot of passion. And it's been a very, very long journey to arrive here. You know, this school, you probably heard, was originally going to be just a summer school for 200 people. Well, now it's obviously that much grander and more special, and hopefully we're going to develop it even further with the new Performing Arts Centre, and it'll become really very much a school of excellence, and not only will we win architectural awards, but we'll win awards for all of our students as well. So thank you.
Good job, Tim. Thank you. Tim and Gagi, you did a great job. By the way, it's the first award ever received in the CIS countries in Eastern Europe. In this, by the way, congratulations. But I want to say 3 years ago, with founders were staying in a stage, and we put the bottom of the start of the school project, and bottom was very big, and we destroyed it fully because we didn't realize it was artificial. But now we're not doing any pushing any more bottom. We just want to say congratulations and good luck.
One dance, and then you. Can we get a round of applause for our translator, please? She leaves high school this week, so if the UN are watching, then please give her a job. Our next performance is a perfect example of the synergy of students from across the 2 years. I'm not going to say too much about it. I just want to invite to the stage Guido. I got it wrong every single time today. Guido, Jana, and Juanfrau.
Por una cabeza de un que justo en la raya afloja al llegar y que al regresar parece decir: no olvides, hermano, vos sabés, no hay que jugar. Por una cabeza metejón de un día de aquella coqueta y risueña mujer que al jurar sonriendo el amor que está mintiendo quema en una hoguera todo mi querer. Por una cabeza todas las locuras, su boca que besa borra la tristeza, calma la amargura. Por una cabeza, si ella me olvida, no importa perderme 1000 veces la vida, ¿para qué vivir? Cuántos desengaños por una cabeza, yo juré 1000 veces no vuelvo a insistir. Pero si un mirar me llegue al pasar, su boca de fuego otra vez quiero besar. Basta de carreras, se acabó la timba, un final reñido yo no vuelvo a ver. Pero si algún pingo llega a ser fija el domingo, yo me juego entero, ¿qué le voy a hacer? Por una cabeza todas las locuras, su boca que besa borra la tristeza, calma la amargura. Por una cabeza, si ella me olvida, no importa perderme 1000 veces la vida, ¿para qué vivir?
How do you follow that?
The school, like everything else, started as just a dream before becoming a key to achieving our own dreams. Our next speaker is a founder who was key in achieving this dream that we now know as UWC Dilijan. Nuba Afayan is a founding donor, chair and founder of Flagship Ventures, an entrepreneurship startup company based in Boston. And we could think of no one better to present the inaugural graduation speech of the class of 2016. Now welcome Nuba Afayan to the stage.
Well, what a scene. I offered to dance and sing, but they wouldn't let me do that. Oh, come on, don't laugh. First I'm going to do this. I've seen other people do it, but I have to tell you, the scene from here is unbelievable. All of you are going to want this picture, which I will send to them, because I don't think you're going to get a chance to take a picture, a selfie from there. So this really is a remarkable, remarkable day, and I'm going to, since I'm emotional as well, I will use this to remember some of what I wanted to say. So the occasion is kind of auspicious because none of us have done this. In fact, none of us have really started a school, none of us know what this is about. And it's interesting because these kinds of events, at least in the States where I come from, are called commencement. And I never understood why a graduation was called commencement. It seemed like it was something that was ending, but actually it's called commencement, it's beginning. And it is a beginning not only for you, the next phase of your life, but also for the school, because it really is the end of the beginning. And now starts really the rest of the story of UWC Dilijan. So it's really a special honor that my colleagues have allowed me to say a few words, and I will try to keep it short and useful to at least the graduating class. Now, I also want to say, and you guys too. Okay, sorry, are you there? I'm confused. Did I take the wrong picture? So, I'd like to say that this was all planned, but you know it's not. But you heard several times, and you will hear once from me as well, that life is full of mistakes. And you just have to kind of go with it. And I didn't think I was going to act it out, but there you go. So this is kind of what I'm going to be trying to tell you about. The last thing I want to say, and then I'll give you my actual comments, is that it's personally actually a very kind of tough moment or kind of touching moment, because I have a son who's graduating next week in Boston from high school. And as you all know, people don't listen to their parents. And so even if I tried to say the things I'm going to say to you today, he would never listen to me. But what I am going to try to do is really talk about what I would have said to him and to any graduate from high school. And I hope this is kind of useful. I graduated 40 years ago, or almost 40 years ago now, and kind of thinking about how the world has changed, and even imagining how it's going to change in your next 35, 40 years, I'm not going to try to do. But it is really an important moment, and so let me kind of try to add a few perspectives to that. So what I'm going to try to talk to you about, and as the introduction said, I live in the world of startups and entrepreneurship and innovation. And I view that as basically all about making the unreasonable possible. And so already I have a sense that what you're learning here puts you down that path, in that if you're going to be creative, like what we just saw, the beautiful dancing and singing, if you're going to be innovative, if you're going to be a scientist, if you're going to do anything in life that is trying to make a difference, then you're going to be attempting things that are unreasonable. And people who know you well and like you will tell you just how unreasonable it is, because they want to protect you from failure. And I really hope, if nothing else you take away from this experience, it's to embrace the unreasonable. The more the unreasonable, the better. because almost everything you've come to take for granted started out being unreasonable when somebody thought it up. And so really, what is it about kind of the education you have, the mindset you're getting, that's allowing you to attempt things that are, by any measure, unreasonable? If you look up the definition of unreasonable, you will find words like illogical, not computable, irrational, all things that we're taught to stay away from. And yet, I think you heard it from John, I heard you heard it from others. You really need to think carefully that if all you're doing is working on completely reasonable things, you're leaving a lot of your talent and potential kind of unexploited. So let me just give you a couple of quick comments about kind of why I'm saying these things. So I had, like you, I'm a migrant. I mean, you came here to Dilijan to get an education, which is an incredible kind of feat, because most people that I see in the United States basically maybe go 1 mile, 2 miles away for an education, and for all of you to come all the way here, already it says that you're not afraid of leaving status quo behind. In my case, I was born in Lebanon. I'm Armenian of background. My family and I escaped a war, a civil war in Lebanon, and then I found myself in Montreal. Many of you hadn't probably seen snow. I had never seen snow when I moved to Montreal at 13 years old. I then moved to Boston, which is where I grew up, went to graduate school, and have lived to this day. And that aspect of being a migrant, whether it's a physical migrant or an intellectual migrant, actually never left what I do for a living. And one thing I want to impress upon you is to think of your journey going forward as just one big, continuous, lifelong intellectual immigration. If you look at immigrants, if you look at what immigrants do to the countries they go to, you know, we're in a political season in the United States, and there's a lot of rhetoric against immigration. But actually, immigrants have a huge advantage, because they, either knowingly or by force, leave behind the status quo, leave behind a language they know, rules they know, norms they know, cultures they know, people they know, and they go to a place where they know none of those things, where the police is intimidating because they don't really know what they have to do wrong to be in trouble, where nobody owes them anything. Think about it. Imagine wantingly going to a place where nobody owes you anything. And actually, what that does is it tells you, it reminds you that whatever it is you're going to do there is completely up to you. And the relationships you build, and the reputation you build, etc. Well, if you're going to innovate, if you're going to create in your life, you should think like an immigrant. Just think of it intellectually. If you're in a field of music, if you're in a field of architecture, Tim, from my point of view, Tim is a kind of, maybe you disagree with me, Tim is a lifelong immigrant. He doesn't actually do things the exact same way he did before. He basically says, that's done, I need to go to a place that makes me scared. You also heard that theme today. A lot of comments had to do with, what do you do when something is intimidating? What do you do when something is scary? The answer is, remember that most things start out scary for them to be worth doing. And so how to cope with that, I think you've gotten a great exposure here, and we hope this will kind of stay with you for the rest of your careers and lives. Let me just kind of do a couple of other things. See, I'm already way off script here. The second thing I want to tell you about a little bit is innovation, kind of innovation from the point of view of technology and science. This is the area I know a little bit about, and let me tell you, for those of you who aspire to lives in that field, what that's about. In school, you learn what is known. It's kind of hard to teach what is not known, but in your life, you're mostly going to use what is not yet known if you're going to be in the innovation business. And so the question is, how does that happen? And at least from my kind of experience and the exposure I've had at MIT, where I've been teaching innovation and entrepreneurship for many years as well as practicing it, you should keep in mind that innovation, kind of completely unexpected things, aren't made, they emerge. So you learned in science, you learned in life this aspect of this notion of evolution. And evolution is probably the best mindset for how to think about innovation. What do I mean by that? If you carry out a step of creativity or variation, what's called in biology, if you carry out a step of selection, and then if you iterate, you learn that in biology, you get plants, you get all sorts of fabulous things that are called natural living. But it turns out that all humans are is another form of doing evolution throughout their life. That's just what innovation comes from. And the reason these incremental steps that don't seem amazing, when they accumulate over time, deliver incredibly unexpected things. Deliver a Google, deliver Genentech, a major biotechnology company, deliver whatever the coolest new company is, WhatsApp, I don't know what's new these days, Uber. These things are not individuals who sat and thought about it deeply, wrote equations, and actually figured it out. These things started out nothing like what they became, except they were done by people who accepted failure as a necessary precedent to success. And so when we talk about what do you do when you make a mistake in the innovation world isn't really a mistake because nobody knows what right is. So think again, if you want to embrace this, make peace with disappointment. If you were my son, and since my son does know this because I keep telling them, all my 4 kids this, they're all older than him. If you take one thing away from my talk, kind of remember that disappointment is overrated. We spend most of our lives avoiding disappointment. We have incredible psychological ways to avoid things that might lead to disappointment. We kind of start slowing down when we're getting close to disappointment. It's as though it's like a car crash. But in doing so, we preclude things that might actually lead to exhilaration, to value creation, to changing the world, basically, nothing short of changing the world. Whether that's finding a new medicine, whether that's finding a new way of transportation, anything. So again, this might all be obvious to you because you've been entitled to such a fantastic education. But one last time, if you already know this in your genes, remember disappointment is massively overrated. Anybody who tells you don't do this, you're going to be disappointed, should be encouraging you to do exactly that. Now, you might say, well, some of the time I should probably not do it. You'll learn over life where disappointment's not leading to any particular immediate thing. But most of the time, I would say, you're going to have to embrace disappointment. Let's see, a couple of other thoughts and then I'll end. The other last thing I'll say is that in your lives, I at least hope some of you will be kind of captured like I was by this notion of entrepreneurship. We use the word a lot these days. Startup companies are kind of being dreamt up and implemented every day, every minute, etc. But you have to realize that this is a fairly new thing. 30 years ago, at least in Boston, and it was one of the hotbeds of startups, there were companies starting maybe once a month. Literally today, it's once a day, once a minute. And so you might say, well, what happened? And the answer is that the society has realized that the kind of people that are willing to think crazy thoughts, go to the unreasonable edge of what's possible, and then come backwards. In fact, John's comments are very apt to that. That is, think of things backwards. Go to the future. What entrepreneurs do is they envision first. Actually, a good example is UWC. Ruben and Veronica envisioned such a multinational, such a kind of experiment in bringing a lot of different cultures together in a country like Armenia. You have to start envisioning. If you start just from today forward, it turns out you'll very quickly convince yourself that you can't get there. So to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to think about how do you envision, how do you come backwards, and then how do you get people convinced that through a set of incremental steps, each of which might seem reasonable because they don't go too far, you can march towards making something that seemed unreasonable completely reasonable. Now, these things, I think some of these things may not be very applicable to today. You might be thinking of going to college, you might be thinking of going to work or doing volunteer work, and these things might not seem applicable. But I hope when you find yourself at a moment where you're thinking of making the leap of faith, trying to get involved in a startup company, trying to innovate, these comments will be appropriate for you. So just to conclude, the school itself, as I mentioned, is a startup. And the graduating class is going to have the distinction of having taught the school how to be the school, having taught the teachers how to be UWC Dilijan teachers, not general UWC teachers, having taught the administration, having taught the board of trustees. Just like the first child of a couple teaches that couple how to be parents. I don't know how the parents in the room feel, but when I got married and we had our firstborn, I did not learn how to be a parent from my parents. They sure offered me advice, but I learned from our first daughter. And I think that this graduating class is nothing short of that, and it will always be that. The school would have learned how to be a school and then hopefully become a better school through that first experience. And that you should really take together with you as you go on for your journey. This is a journey. You're going to take lots of twists in the road. You've been given lots of good tools. Among them, probably the most important will be relationships. I actually envy the amount of exposure you had to meeting very different mindsets, very different cultures, and being able to find common ground to interact. Turns out that is singularly the most important skill that will propel you in anything that you do. So don't forget that. In fact, I predict when you go to university, many of you will find that that's your most immediate competitive advantage. Most people will go, depending on where you end up, but most universities that I know, people have a very hard time adjusting to people very different than them. It's going to be a piece of cake for you. And that relationship building, and also keep in mind that some of that relationship we'd like you to keep with the UWC Dilijan School. This is a school that has been privately funded, as you've heard. A lot of people have stepped up to support the school. We hope actually every graduate from the school dedicates a small piece of their future lives, keeping connected, keeping supporting, keeping giving advice, involvement. If you have other ways to contribute over time, great. But we'd like this experience to be something you want to share with future generations. So those are comments I have. Mine was not very well scripted, but I hope you get from me a sense of kind of a possible journey. And with that, I'll end and I'll say bon voyage to the graduating class. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuba, to the outgoing class. Embrace disappointment, not because your parents told you so, but because Nuba said so.
Our final performance of the day as we race the rain perfectly sums up the diversity that we have in UWC Dilijan, and I think encapsulates the bittersweetness of the moment as we say goodbye to our founding year and welcome to the second year, our first year. Can I ask to the stage Tando and Margarita?
Sola sogno l'ore con te mancan le parole.
Sì, io so che non c'è luce una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei tu con me, su le finestre mostra tutto il mio cuore che hai non ceso più di dentro me, la luce che hai incontrato per strada. Time to say goodbye. Horizons are never far. If I live on this snowy pride, holding eternal love in my heart, I will go on ships over seas that I don't know. No, they don't exist anymore. It's time to say goodbye.
Quando sei lontana sogno l'orizzonte, mancano le parole. E sul su che sei con me, tu mia luna, tu sei qui con me. Io sole, tu sei qui con me, con me, con me, con me. Time to say goodbye. Horizons are never far. If I live on this life with pride, holding eternal love in my heart, I will go on ships over seas that I now know. No, they don't exist anymore. It's time to say goodbye, so with you I will go on ships over seas that I don't know. No, they don't exist anymore. It's time to say goodbye, so with you I will go. Thank you, Sandor and Margarita. That was beautiful.
A few weeks ago, students from 48 of the represented countries here planted trees to symbolize the growth of a new generation, as well as the roots of education we've planted in Armenia.
To complete that cycle, we are going to soon invite everyone here to witness the planting of a tree by our Armenian students. Please join the students when they go by exiting through the side doors onto the beautiful pitch we have here and following them through to the tree planting.
Before you do, the founders have asked us to remind you that there's a special concert by by our co-founder, Vladimir Avetsyan, and his band, the Black Blues Orchestra, at the football pitch just outside the college on your way to Dilijan City.
Thank you everyone for your support and patience. Tea will be served directly after the tree planting. But before we finish up today, Ruben and Veronica have asked to come up to give a special prize, so I'd like you to put your hands together for a final time for Ruben and Veronica.
It was unbelievable day today for all of us, and really something which we'll never forget in our life. And we've been dreaming with Veronica in 2006 about this project. It looks like a crazy idea, and now it is reality. Congratulations again, everything was done by all of you. But we came on the stage with Veronica just saying special thank you for the person who was brave enough to trust us when the school didn't exist yet. It was in the construction. When everything we talk was really like idea. And sometimes giving great ideas is great, but execution is one of the most challenging part of doing some great projects. You know, we are living in a world which is becoming more and more connected, and Armenians being like my lovely non-Armenian wife said, is everywhere in the world and always find Armenians around the world. We've been doing a lot of good things during our history, publishing books, doing translations. We are the country of a Saint Translated Day. Today, like chairman of the board of trustees and Veronica like chairman of our council, I want to say big thank you to the John Padderfoot, our headmaster, who did this 2 years work. And I want to say, John, I really appreciate. I know, yeah, please, clap. I know you want.
We saw today unbelievable performance, but each performance can't happen without good director. And today we see director in different meanings in front of us, and we want to express our deep appreciation to John Padderfoot and on behalf of the Board of Governors and Trustees, and the founders, give an award to John for his invaluable input into UWC future as the founding head of the college, for his dedication, commitment to creating a brighter tomorrow for the next generation. Thank you.
And we have one very special present. Like I said, Armenian nation been always dedicated to education, and we decided to give the ancient Armenian gospel, which was printed in 1805 in Armenian congregation located in Venice, island of St. Lazar, by Armenian Catholic monarchs. I want to say thank you, and I wish you good luck, and thank you for everything, John.
Do please sit. Not because I'm going to say much. Ruben, Veronica, thank you. It's been an enormous privilege to be part of this extraordinary project and this extraordinary journey. The class that is leaving has, with the staff that began with us, been through an extraordinary kaleidoscope during the course of the last 2 years. I would like to thank them, and particularly to thank them for the way they have finished, because I think that you can tell the real quality of anybody by whether they finish well, and you have. Perhaps I might be indulged one last word, because you don't get to be a headmaster unless you have the last word. I have said it before, but it's in the light of Nubar's speech, in the light of other things that have been said today, I think I can be allowed to say it once more. If the school needed a motto, it doesn't yet have one. I would strongly recommend our greatest glory lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. Thank you.